Okay, so today we're here with Mrs. Viets, and we are discussing the topic of the assistance from Americans during the Vietnam War that helped the Vietnamese be able to live their American dream. And Mrs. Viets was one of the people that helped relocate the Vietnamese families with her church. So, can you please explain your story?
All right. My story started in Kansas City, Missouri, when I was attending a Catholic church on the Missouri side at Warner Road and about 126th Street. The name of the church was St. Thomas More. I was married at the time and lived on the Kansas side of Kansas City, and we helped a family who had been brought into Kansas City. I'm actually not sure how they came to be there, but there were a group of people in the church who volunteered to help them relocate and settle there. At the time, I had a 6-year-old daughter in school, and I had about a three-year-old daughter. So I felt like that was something that I could do. And when I started to help them, what we did was, my position was to help them get groceries. And I would pick them up. They were living down closer to the plaza area in Kansas City, Missouri, very close to Rockhurst High School and Rockhurst College at the time. They were living in a home that had been secured for them by the people of the church. There were a number of families who were responsible for helping these people. And there was 3 small children, a mother and father, and then a grandfather who had come with them, and also 3 young men. And at the time we thought these 3 young men were related to them, but they actually were not related.
Okay.
At the time that they left Vietnam, I guess in order to get out of Vietnam, they had to get together into a group. They had to be taken in by some organization or individual in order to get to Kansas City. And Catholic Charities was the organization that helped bring these people in.
Do you know how they brought the people over at all?
At the time I did not ask,
Mm-hmm.
but from later I found out that they probably were airlifted out of Vietnam and probably came possibly by plane into the Kansas City area. The home that they were in was, it was a nice home. It was not in, the best neighborhood. It wasn't the most expensive home. They didn't have any money and they didn't have jobs.
Mm-hmm.
They had worked, I think, primarily for the government, for our government in Vietnam. And so they were some of the first people who were anxious to get out of Vietnam, out of Saigon. And the family also in Vietnam, I think Saigon, they had a driver, so they weren't used to driving, and the fact that they had a driver probably meant that they had some means in Vietnam, and that they also had worked for the United States government at the time.
Okay, and if they had a good place in Vietnam, why did they want to come over? If they were involved with the U.S. government and everything.
Well, they left Vietnam immediately after Saigon fell to the communists, and they feared for their life. That was the main reason why a lot of people came out of Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
And coming out of Vietnam, people came in different stages. The first stage was an airlift where they took thousands of people by air from Vietnam. We found out later that the grandmother, I had said that the grandfather was with them, but the grandmother, we found out later that she had slipped off of a railing trying to get on this boat while they were leaving, and they didn't know whether she was dead or alive for quite a long time. And then they found out through relatives or someone that she did survive, and they were able to bring her over to the United States.
Oh, that's so
And
cool.
we actually met them. They came to our older daughter's First Communion at St. Thomas More. In fact, their daughter, this family's daughter, also made her First Communion at the same time that my daughter did.
Oh.
And the father, his name was Wing, and their last name, I'm not sure that I can pronounce it correctly, but it's Nguyen or Nugent, and they said that it's very much like Smith or Jones in the United States.
Oh, yeah,
That's
like
the name
common.
that
Yeah.
a lot of people had.
Yeah.
My job as a volunteer with this family was to take them to the grocery store. And my first thing was that when they got in the car with me, my second daughter, Becky, she had very white, long hair. And they were really taken by that because everyone in Vietnam had dark hair,
Yeah.
dark black hair. And they loved seeing her. And
Aw.
my second daughter didn't get to go with us to the grocery store because she was in school. And, but in the grocery store, the first trip, I remember how they, as Americans, we go up and down the aisles, every aisle. That's my habit of going up and down every aisle and picking up things that I don't really need, and picking up bags of potato chips or cookies or whatever. They did not do that at all. They just went down the fruit and vegetable aisle, across the meat aisle, and that was it. And the one thing they did do that I wasn't used to doing was they touched everything. And like a lemon, they would look at it and feel it and all that.
Yeah.
And a carton of eggs, they would open the carton and look at all the eggs and make sure they were clean. And so I suppose over there maybe they didn't have clean eggs. I don't know.
Yeah, it must have been like really different to see everything in the same place at a grocery store.
The other thing that they did for their food supply, and I don't remember now where they got them, but we'd have to go to a special place for a large bag of rice, and that was their staple. They ate a lot of rice.
Yeah.
Cooked a lot of rice, and they had us for dinner at least once, and I think our children were there too, and they had several other families that had helped them settle. They were very appreciative, and I always remember this little lettuce salad they fixed in a glass 9x12 pan that had a lot of cheese and carrots, mostly carrots on top of head lettuce. That's
Okay. Yeah.
that.
All right. So you said that it was with your church, like you got involved with your church. How did the church help with them too? Like, how was their involvement with the Vietnamese? How did the Vietnamese meet the church, and how did the church provide and help?
Well, I'm assuming that Catholic Charities brought these people to Kansas City, and then they different churches decided that they could help, and we, as far as I know, we just had one family that our particular church helped.
Okay.
And there were maybe 5 or 6 families that helped, and we each had a different job.
Right.
Like I didn't help find furniture for their house, but someone did, and someone secured the home, and someone helped them get a job. He ended up with a very good job with Hallmark, the large Hallmark Cards Company. And I don't think she went to work, but
Yeah. And so, what made you want to help this Vietnamese family? Just out of curiosity of how
I'm such
did
a
you want
good
to
person.
Oh, you're such a good person.
No,
Or you just wanted to do something good?
I'm a volunteer kind of person.
Uh-huh.
I've always volunteered in something or other, and I didn't have to work because outside the home, or I didn't want to work because I had 2 children, and my husband worked a lot, and he worked long hours, and I felt like if we had children, one of us should raise them.
Yeah.
So
That's so cool.
I did that.
All right, cool. And so how did you end up changing their lives? Did you, I don't know, help them get a great start in America or anything?
Well, if I could talk to them today, I would be able to tell you more. But I'm sure they were very appreciative, and they had a roof over their head. And after seeing all the things that happened in Vietnam, they were very fortunate to be able to leave Vietnam and to have a community that would take them in and help them and give them a good job. I found out recently that they moved to another section of Kansas City probably 2 or 3 different times, and that shows me that they they had the means to do that, and they were able to bring the grandmother over, and I think I said they came to my daughter's first communion. So I'm sorry that I haven't kept in touch with them,
no.
but I left Kansas City about 27 years ago.
So do you know, after the war, did they return back to Vietnam, or did they stay in America?
Oh, they stayed.
They stayed here?
They stayed,
So
I don't
they still live here, do you think?
I think so, In fact, I have my nephew's wife works for Hallmark, and she works in personnel, and as soon as I can, I will call her and see if she knows anything about this man and if his family is still there. It's such a common name that
it's hard to find them.
I've tried to find them on the computer, searching his name, but there are so many that
so many
it's
of them.
not possible.
Yeah. So while they were here, do you think that they fulfilled living the American dream? Like they set themselves up and they're all good?
Well, you hope so.
Yeah.
But what is the American dream exactly?
It's like when people come over and they.
I guess if you look around your own neighborhoods, the Vietnamese people here and in the United States that I know are the people that have the nail salons, and you have a habit of going in and thinking, well, I'm just going to relax and I'm not going to talk to them much, and some of them, they really don't talk to you very much because they can't speak the language as well. And I think maybe it's really, we should be trying to get them to talk more and not be on our cell phones or reading our magazines or whatever.
Okay. Well, thank you.
You're
Thank you so
welcome.
much.
Thank you.